So yes, you should do that and then start learning from here. Any questions so far on the free tier? All. No, I have my own AWS account. I'll share with you, and we will use that for the training. But yes, if you want to have independent, you want to be independent in terms of AWS access, and after the 30s, so you should do that. And it's not a, yeah, it's not something which is chargeable. It's just a free of cost for 12 months. Only things you have to take care of it. Use the only free services which is listed here. And if you are creating some services, before that you should come here and check that whether it's a free or not. And if it is free, you can go ahead and use it up to that limit and then destroy it. Simple. Okay, so okay, so that's a good question. So let me tell you here. This you need to check with your project actually. What happens? I'll tell you. There are certain times what happens. Yes. Yeah. So there, what happens? Certain times your organizations will tie up with AWS, and the moment you use your organization email ID, they will give you certain credits actually by default. Let's say $100, $200, or something like that, and you may use for everything. Okay, up to that limit. So this is depends on your organizations, how they have tied up with AWS. That's one thing. Let's say if your organization have not tied up, then you should go ahead and use the personal account and your personal credit card and stuff like that. So depends on that. Make sense? Just check with your organization's IT department if they have some collaborations with AWS. I remember that in 2010 when I was working for one of my organizations, so they gave me the credit and I used that for let's say 6 months or something, free of cost. I mean, this credit was available for the companies, just for the as part of some offer. Yeah, but yes, anyone can go, and it's a public cloud, right? So anyone can go and use that your personal email ID, and you, because that credit card belongs to you, right? So the ID should be also yours. Okay, so yeah, so please use this. It will definitely help you with that. Okay, guys, it's just a little bit outdated slides. So you know what? Almost every week, AWS is offering one services. So it's been so many years, more than 15 years. They have been offering all the services, and they keep introducing the new services and new features as well. Okay, so the this is a little outdated, maybe much more than that. You may have it. That means I may probably in next 3 days, I may probably teach you 20 to 30 foundation and essential services. But to look at this, how many things. So in AWS, literally you can do everything. Whether you are a sorry, whether you are a developer or architect or QA people or IT or security or operations or business people, or let's say machine learning, robotics, AI, uh, data warehousing. I mean, just name it. Whatever the services you may see in the software industry, they have a services for it. Here it can be infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, function as a service, all these things. So yes, it's a limitless thing, and like that. Now, this is a very useful slides actually, and you should focus on it. Now, this one basically, see, someone, if those who are not using AWS and using the traditional infrastructure, then they will say, hey, I need a on-prem servers. So in AWS, we call it Amazon EC2 instance. Then he will say, hey, I need a router, network pipeline, and switches. So in AWS, we call it networks and ELBs. Someone say, hey, I need to have a firewall ACL SAT administrator. So in AWS, we call it a security group network, ACLs, AWS IAM and all stuff like that. Someone say, hey, I need dash, SAN, NAS, RDBMS and all. Then we have a dedicated services like EBS, S3 and DevOps. Are you able to understand? So yes, in a simple way, what I'm trying to say here, for any application infrastructure runtime environment which you need, you have on AWS. But the services are different. Different. That is the thing we need to learn today and tomorrow and day after. Okay. So in simple way, anything which you want in a traditional infrastructure, you have on AWS. Okay. Now look at this here. Here as part of the learning process, I don't know if the bottom section of the slide is visible or not. Is it visible to all of you? Yes. Do you have a regions and availability zone visible? Yeah, I don't know even that's the reason I got confused. What is that line? Okay, so here infrastructure. So let's say if you want to know AWS, so first thing you should know what is the AWS region, okay, and then AZs, availability zone we call it. From now onwards, I'll call it AZs. AZs means availability zone. Now you need to know what is region, what is availability zone. On top of it, you should know what are the compute services, what are the networking services, and what are the storage services. Now this one we call it a foundation services. Okay, this is coming as infrastructure service. Now platform services, you see that foundation services you can call it infrastructure services. And platform services, you as a developer must be using a lot of tools like a database or SQS or SNS or SES or some other tools also. So that is coming under the platform services. Are you understanding? And on top of that application, it can be software as a service. So in AWS, you can get a software as a service also. That means everything is available on AWS. You just have to consume, just like a Gmail is a software as a service. Okay. Now, here under the foundation services, this is the I'm talking about. That's the focus for the training, foundation services. See here, if you talk about the compute, we have Amazon EC2, AWS Lambda, Amazon EC2 container services, load balancing, elastic beanstalk, auto scaling. So all this is coming under the compute services. Now under the network, what we have VPC, Route 53, Direct Connect. So here, some of the stuff I'll talk about, for example, as part of these sessions, I'll talk about Amazon EC2. I'll talk about the Beanstalk. I'll talk about the container services. I'll talk about the load balancer and auto. So in a compute, most of this I'll talk about it. But networking, I'll talk about the VPC. At an introduction level, we can go for Route 53 and Direct Connect. Storage, I'll talk about S3 and EBS and all the stuff like that. Security IAMs and all stuff like that we'll discuss, and application set. Okay, so in a developer certifications, more or less that developer tools, developer services are being discussed. For example, all the developer services like a database, different kind of database, SQS, SMN, Q services, notification services, email services, security services, and also like that. We'll discuss one by one all this. Now, these are the platform services. So these were the foundation services. This is the platform services. So here database, these are the options we have: analytics, app services, management tool, developer tools, mobile services, internet, IoT. Now, I'm not expecting you to remember all these things right now, because one by one we'll go into that. But right now, just understand that the scope of AWS, everything you have at AWS. Okay, everything you have at AWS. So different database services will use it as part of this training. Different developer tools, you see that fifth column will use that, and app services, third column also, you see that SES, SWF, and all these things we'll learn about that. Okay, so these are platform services. This is a, after the login, you'll see something like this. This is a little old UI, but this. So let's understand the terminology, what we use in the AWS. Okay, so in AWS, we call it a EC2 instance. EC2 means Elastic Compute, Cloud Compute. So in short, we call it EC2. So in general, when we say in AWS EC2, that in an industry, we say virtual machine and servers. Okay. Now, if you say AMIs, so basically it can be template, OVA file, ODF file, or ISO file. Have you guys created any virtual machines in your local or somewhere? All of you? Yeah. So virtual machines, you remember that ISO file you give it, or some OVA file you give it as an operating system image, right? Yeah. So same thing we call it in AWS AMIs, Amazon Machine Image. Uh, Here EBS we have. EBS means the storage hard disk in industry we call it. Here we have a inferal storage that is called temporary storage. Here we have S3. So S3 stand for simple storage services. Here S3 in industry we typically call it Google Drive. Okay, you are using every day, right? Google Drive, that's a file storage which you can use it. For this object storage you can use it, sorry, not file storage. So we'll discuss about all these things. When we call it in AWS EC2 compute unit, ECU, so basically in industry we call it measure of EC2 processes, and vCPU in AWS in industry we call it virtual CPU. Access identity and access management, in short we call it IAM, that we call it in the industry delegated administrator. ELB we call it in industry load balancer. Route 53 in AWS we call it DX. So just become comfortable. Anyways, we'll go into the each and every services and get into that. Okay, so yeah, I hope you remember that. VPC is one of this like network. EC2 virtual machine. S3 is like a block store. Sorry, object storage. RDS means database. EBS means block storage. The hard disk, auto scaling, ELB. So now let's discuss about the certification track. So here you see that we have a foundational level of certification, an associate level of certification, and then professional level of certification. So here directly you can move to associate level of certifications if you have at least a 1 year of experience. So you don't need to try for foundational. It's not compulsory. But if you want to go for the professional, you have to clear the associate level of certifications. So which one you are trying in this? Which certification you are trying here? Developer associate. Yeah. So that is a you are trying. So yeah, we will prepare for the same thing. We'll learn all the related services for the AWS certified developer associate. Okay, but after that, if you want to go for it, you can try for professional level, AWS certified DevOps engineer professionals and stuff like that. Okay, so now with that, we have to understand the global infrastructure of AWS. So when you go and start working with AWS, primarily you need to know regions and availability zone. Okay, now what is a region and what is availability zone? That we need to understand. So let me ask these questions to some of you if you have an answer for it. So what do you think? I heard like some of you know about AWS. You have worked with it. So what do you understand about the region? Anyone would like to share your knowledge? with us? Anyone? No? Okay. So guys, let me ask you one thing. Let's say if you will be the cloud provider, and you'll be the cloud provider, and then you will be setting up, and you want to provide your services worldwide. Okay, means the services should be available for the entire world and nearest to their users, their client. So in that case, don't you think you will set up a data centers in a different countries, different continent and all? Correct now? So yes, AWS also has done same thing. AWS has set up a data centers in a different areas of the world, different countries and all, and that we call it a regions. So regions basically is nothing but data centers geographic locations. Okay, so that's at the high level. Now here we need to understand that each regions will have a two availability zone. Okay, so what is the availability zone? So basically availability zone, you can say in a simple way. Let's say I'll put it in this way. Let's say I am the end user of AWS and I want to run applications on AWS. Let's say region I have selected, I want to run application in Mumbai region. And let's say I bought some virtual machines and I started running in application started running in that machines. Let's say that machines where I bought it, that data center got some problem. Problem means what kind of problem? Problem means let's say tsunami, terrorist attack, or some war, or some earthquake. It can happen anything. Now let's say that got destroyed or that got damaged. Destruction will not happen because data center have a very strict policy of all this thing. But let's say that got damaged. So because of that issues, now your end users will not be able to access application which is running on the server. Correct now? So what to do? What to do in a simple way? So what Amazon has done it, they say AWS has done it. They say, hey, listen, do one thing. You want to run application, but also you want to make it highly available. So if something goes wrong with one data center, then second data center will support that runtime. So that is called availability zone in AWS. Okay. So what is the availability zone? Availability zone is a clusters of data centers. Okay, and now isolated from failures in other availability zone. That means in a one region you may have, you look at the second line, consist of at least a two availability zone. That means a region will have at least of two. It may have a three, four, five also. So what exactly is the primary role of availability zone? To have a HA, highly available environment where you can avoid the failures of applications. So AWS uses for their own applications also, and you can also use for your own applications. Okay, so availability zone basically in a nutshell is a clusters of data centers isolated from failures in another availability zone. Okay, so yes, this is the one. So we have discussed already about, let me sum up. AWS has a concept of region, which is physical location around the world where we cluster data centers. Remember, data centers. Yes. Now, we call each group of logical data centers in an availability zone, and each AWS region consists of multiple. Each AWS region consists of multiple isolated, physically separated availability zone within a geographic area. Unlike other cloud providers who often define a region as a single data center, but in AWS, the multiple edges designed for every AWS region offer advantage for customer. Each edge has independent power cooling, physical security, and connected by redundant ultra low latency network. AWS customer focused on high availability can design their applications to run in multiple edges to achieve even greater fault tolerance. AWS infrastructure region meet the highest level of security, compliance, and data protection. Are you understanding now, all of you? What is the region? All of you? See, guys, this image is little outdated, okay? This image. But you see that here I opted for this image because you can read the text actually. So you can see that these are the regions we have. Okay, and there's certain region which is coming. This is not right pictures, up-to-date pictures, I would say, but you see that. Okay, multiple regions. In India, we have a Mumbai region. Upcoming is in Chennai. So this is a little outdated. Now I show you this is the real one. This is the up-to-date one. So now you see that in India, there is a Mumbai regions which we will use. Coming soon, we have in Chennai. Okay. Sorry, coming soon, we have in Hyderabad, not in Chennai. And in Arabian Peninsula, if you see that, you have a 2 data center. China, we have few. Japan also, they have few. South Korea also have one. Europe have too many, US. And so So these are the regions. Regions consist of multiple data center. This each data center call it edges. Okay, are you comfortable? Now availability zone. We discuss at a high level. Please read this. When you launch an instance means here we call it a virtual machines. You can select the edges. Yes. When you create a virtual machine, let's say I'm going to Mumbai region. Okay, and in the Mumbai region, I go and create a virtual machines. So that in that while creating virtual machines, I have to select the edges whether I want in this data center of this region or another data center of that region. That's called availability zone. Or let us choose one of you. So they can also give it to you by default. If you distribute your instance across multiple availability zone and one instance fail, you can design your application so that an instance in another availability zone can handle the request. You can also use EIP, elastic IP address, to mask the failure of an instance in one availability zone by rapidly remapping the address of instance in another availability zone. These edges in a region are connected with the direct fiber optics. That last statement is very important. This edge is, that means let's say there's a Mumbai region and you have a two edges, there are three now. So two edges are there. So how they are connected with each other? So they are connected with direct fiber optics links which have a capacity of around 25 terabytes per second and a latency of 2 milliseconds or to 1 millisecond. That means you can imagine how much bandwidth they have in terms of speed. So you can design your high availability. Now look at this here. This for the visualization. This is the AWS, and this you have a 3 regions, and each regions you see that availability zones. If you look at this, these regions are not connected through the fiber optics. Are you able to see? But these edges are connected with the fiber optics, high-speed fiber optics. Okay, and like that. Are you understanding now? So we have a region and availability zone. Look at this here. In the one region, you may have a multiple availability zone. Now there is one more concept you should know, that is edge locations. What is edge locations? So edge location is where end user access services located at AWS. They are located in the most of the major city around the world and are specially used for CDN to distribute the content to end user to reduce latency. It is like a front end for the service we access, which are located in AWS cloud. I'll put it in a simple way. Let's say there is one server in USA. Okay, so now there is a server in USA. Now this server you want to access through the regular network. That means it will travel from the India ISP to some different ISP to some different ISPs, and this will keep routing till you reach to the location. That's one way, and probably it will take 10 milliseconds for that. Okay, but now the moment, but what AWS has done it, they have created an edge location in almost every every major city of the globe. Okay, every major city of the globe. And what they are saying, if you access if you access the resources, which is servers, which is hosted by AWS, so your request will be processed through edge locations, and edge locations, they have a direct fiber optics stuff, and so that you don't have to travel to this network or that network, government network and all, and that can travel indirectly to the server, so that way it will be faster. Now this edge location also is being used for serving the CDN services, like streaming services and stuff like that. Okay, so are you able to understand that? So these are some of the edge location. This image is also outdated. Now overall, this is the up-to-date one. So how many total regions we have in AWS? So guys, we have total 26 launched region. And how many total availability zones we have? 84. How many total local zones we have? 70. And many things are coming, like 8 announced regions are coming, and different countries, different edge points and stuff like that. So this is a region and availability zone. Now this picture is very interesting. Let's say if AWS wants to add some more compute unit or storage unit, look at this, their containers. So they basically ship this container and just plug in with the power, and automatically auto scaling happens. Are you able to understand that? Yeah. So guys, this is the introduction of AWS, in which we discuss about a little bit of AWS introduction, some of the history of AWS, the fundamental terminologies which we use in AWS, and the concept of a region and availability zone and stuff like that. Any questions anyone have so far? Am I audible, all of you? Any questions, any doubts?
Hello everyone, if you would like to access the remaining videos of this playlist of 50 plus more tools which are coming under DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, DataOps, GitOps, etc. Kindly become our channel members by clicking on the joining button. You would have access to hundreds of playlists and 1000s of videos lifetime access with this membership. Enjoy.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.